Hey folks, it's Takota Coen here from Coen Farm, and I'm in the Edmonton Waldorf School building here with Dr. Christine Kowalczyk, and we're going to be talking about pigeon cotes today. So Christine, for folks who've never heard about pigeon cotes before, can you tell us what they are?
A pigeon cote is essentially like a kind of birdhouse for pigeons. They have been in use for millennia around the world, and even today across Europe and in the Middle East and North Africa, you can see pigeon cotes standing in a lot of places, and some of them hold up to 1,000 birds.
Wow. And so, what was the reason for housing, making these pigeon houses?
Well, really, pigeon cotes were based on the principle of reciprocity. People understood that if they took care of the pigeons would take care of them. So the pigeon cotes provide, they're basically tower-like structures, often out of stone or wood or brick. In some places they're made out of clay. They basically provided a really safe and ideal location for pigeons to roost and to nest. So the pigeons were safe from the predators, they can come and go freely, and because they are located in this kind of central tower-shaped structure, because we know that pigeons poop a lot, they would poop into the center of this structure, and it would make the collection of the droppings very easy for people. So the droppings are really high quality, natural, free, and obviously abundant fertilizer. And so this is what the pigeons then gave back to people. In some cases, the pigeons were also eaten as squab. And
which is delicious, by the way.
Is it? Okay, I haven't tried it myself, but in most cases it really was for the fertilizer.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. And so the reason why we're talking about pigeon cotes today is Christine approached me last year, I think it was, to do a really interesting project that you've been kind of thinking about for a couple of years now. So why don't you tell us about the kind of grant opportunity that came up?
Yeah, okay. Well, I did my PhD in English at the U of A, and I studied 17th century English women's household cookbooks, and pigeons came up again and again and again, and I was doing some kind of secondary research on gardening manuals and things, and pigeons came up there again and again too, mostly again talking about how amazing their droppings are as fertilizer. And so I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to try this today? This is basically, it seemed to me, some kind of proven technology that had been used around the world for such a long period of time, and we had totally forgotten about it. And so it made sense to try to resurrect this lost technology and give it a try and see if it works today. And so we were able to get a grant from the U of A, from the Kias Foundation, and luckily you are an open-minded enough farmer and had apparently already been thinking about pigeons yourself. And so this was just the perfect fit. And it seems to me that the project really aligns with a lot of your values in terms of permaculture and sustainability on your farm too.
Yeah, so we've been focusing on low-tech, nature-based, really cost-effective solutions that can be used anywhere in the world to basically create a sustainable, even a regenerative agriculture. And so I love the kinds of systems where you put in a little bit of work and then you do nothing for 1,000 years and it just keeps getting better. That's kind of one of the goals of our farm. And pigeon cotes have been one of these systems that I had thought about for years, and it was just kind of serendipitous when you sent me an email one day saying that you wanted to do one of these had a project to build one of these things in Alberta to see how they would work. So that's kind of why we're talking about this today, is that this coming summer in July 2020, from the 5th to the 12th, we're actually going to be hosting a workshop on Coen Farm, it's near Farintosh, Alberta, to actually construct one of these pigeon cotes with the help of a master stonemason from Ontario, who's going to come out and teach us how to just literally grab rocks that we find all around our farm and use nothing more than basic hammers and chisels to shape those rocks into bricks and form it into a structure with no mechanical tools whatsoever to make one of these pigeon cotes. And so mostly it was Christine that did all the work on this grant. And so there's an opportunity for 10 people that we're looking for to come out for it's about an 8-day workshop. And we'll be feeding everybody on the farm for 1 meal a day. You'll be in charge of looking after your breakfast and your supper and your lodging and stuff like that, but we'll take care of everything else when you're on site. And it'll be a great opportunity to just learn how to make any kind of a Drystone construction, but also to learn a great deal about pigeon cotes and how they function, how you could build one in your own backyard even. Because it's not going to be a very big building. It's going to be about 6 to 8 feet in diameter, about the same height, as tall. I'll show some images here. But yeah, we just wanted to let folks know about that.
Yeah, I think it's a really unique opportunity for sure for people to learn about this forgotten kind of technology, this whole integrated system, symbiotic system between people and animals on a farm, between humans and pigeons on a farm, I guess. And also to learn Drystone masonry skills as well, because there are very few accredited Drystone masons in Canada, and the mason that we're getting to come to Alberta, Andre Lemieux, is one of the best. He does absolutely beautiful work, so this will be a great opportunity for people to learn from a true master one of these really wonderful artisanal skills that is also not so much in practice anymore today. So I love that we're resurrecting these skills and
killing 2 birds with 1 stone.
That's right. No, that's not a good metaphor here. And also, this older kind of thinking, bringing it back.
Yeah, exactly. And for folks who aren't familiar, Drystone masonry is where you basically build a structure out of rocks and nothing else. There's no mortar or anything holding the rocks together other than the shape of the rocks themselves. So it's like you basically make a jigsaw puzzle out of materials you have lying around, and some of these buildings last again for thousands of years.
Yeah, one of my friends was in Scotland recently, and she sent me back photos of a Scottish pigeon cote, which I think they called ducats there or something like that, and it was from the 11th century.
Yeah.
And and I think we've talked about this before too with Andre about how these structures get stronger and stronger with time.
Yeah. So the other thing I wanted to ask you was exactly how much fertilizer can you get? I know in one of the articles you wrote, you described, I think it was 20 pairs of pigeons. How much fertilizer could they produce? Do you remember?
Oh my gosh. Well, I remember I fostered a pigeon, and it pooped a lot. It was maybe at least 10 times a day, probably more than that. So I don't know, multiply that by 20 pairs of pigeons, and
I think it was in the gallons, like several 5-gallon buckets. And I think it was enough. One of these pigeon cotes that we're going to be building would be enough fertilizer to grow all of your own vegetables for a family, more than enough. Which I think is just amazing, because you think in the cities and out in the countryside you see all these massive flocks of pigeons, and they're going out and foraging for all these resources. You don't have to do any management other than just build this thing, walk away, and for literally 1,000 years the building is going to get stronger and stronger, and everything around it is going to get more
healthier
fertile.
And healthier,
and all you have to do is open the door a few times a year, scoop it out, and throw it on your garden.
Yes, very well said. Yeah, I can tell you're excited about that work already.
Yeah. So anyways, the links to the registration and for more information about the workshop are below. I'll also throw in some links for some of the articles that Dr. Christine has written about pigeon cotes, as well as links to check out the Master Stonemason Andre, to check out his work. And if you guys are interested, it's first come, first served. There's only 10 spots, so we hope to see you there.